Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and today I thought we'd do something a little bit different, and I thought we'd talk about YouTube, but more specifically, I thought I'd talk to you guys about how I make videos and go through, the hardware that I use, the software I use, the processes that I go through from recording, editing, all the way up to uploading the video, creating thumbnails, and just in general, try and sort of shed some light on how I do what I do. I often get a lot of questions with regards to, what do you use to record gameplay? What do you use to edit your videos? How do you edit your videos? Do you write scripts? Do you do this, that, and the other? So I thought in this video, I put together 5 handy tips that will hopefully help you guys if you want to create videos yourself. So with that being said, if you do find this useful, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below if you have any questions whatsoever. I will do my best to jump in the comments and try and answer them as best I can. And of course, if you guys don't want to miss any of our latest uploads, then don't forget you can click that notification button so you get updated every time we upload a new video. Now, let's kick things off at number 1 with having the right equipment. Now, to be clear, having the right equipment doesn't mean to say you have to have the best, most expensive PC, the best camera, the best microphone. It basically just means you need to have the equipment that you need to be able to do your job. So for me, if I kind of strip everything back, fundamentally I need 4 things. I need a computer, I need a console so I can play my games, I need a capture card, and I need a mic. If I have those 4 things, I can do what I need to do. Sure, of course, if you have, a better PC and you can edit faster, fair enough. Or you have a better camera, things might look nicer. But generally speaking, those are the 4 things I need to get my job done. And on the capture card front, I have always used Elgato products. I actually decided to make this video in partnership with Elgato. They are one of the sponsors on this channel, and it's awesome to be able to work with those guys because honestly, I've been using their capture cards for as long as I can remember, basically since the beginning of this YouTube channel, and having a chance to actually work with them and try and put something like this together to help you guys is actually really cool. But I personally use the HD60S, which is their portable capture card, but they do have quite a few other options. They have the HD60 Pro and the 4K 60 Pro. Those are the cards that can actually go inside your PC. And some of you guys might be like, well, why don't you use the 4K one? And in truth, I don't do a lot of stuff with 4K right now. There are select times when I will record something in 4K. And of course, when that happens, then, of course I can go to something like that. But generally speaking, most of the stuff I record, since I do a lot of stuff on console, is still 1080. And the main reason that I still use the HD60S over the HD60 Pro is because I like the flexibility of being portable. Sometimes when I'm doing what I do, I will go to game studios or offices and I'll have a chance to go to what they call like capture events where there might be like a game running and you then record your gameplay at that event. So by having a portable card, I can literally just take it with me, put it in my bag, go with my laptop, set up an event, plug it in, and I can record everything that I need. Whereas if I had an internal card, then I couldn't do that. I don't really fancy lugging my PC around the whole time. That's probably not going to go down too well. So that's partly why I use the HD60S. It's also zero delay, it's USB 3.0. So it does mean that if I do decide to stream, I know I don't stream that often, but when I decide to stream, then there's also no delay, so you don't have to worry about offsetting your face cam with your gameplay. It also means if you're playing through the capture software, then you can also do that. It's not going to be like you're playing with like a massive 3 or 4 second delay where you're just trying to scroll through a menu and you're just having to wait for it to catch up. So generally speaking, it's a great device. It records a great quality gameplay. You have a lot of different options if you want to tweak things. You can also pair it with different software. You have the official game capture software, which is actually what I use to record most of my gameplay, but you can also link it into things like OBS and XSplit if you want to have other options. Now, when it comes to actually recording gameplay, I typically do it in one of 3 ways. If I'm going into something that I've never played before, let's say a new game comes out, I jump into it, I don't know what to expect, then I just literally hit record and I play for a little bit of time. I try to get into the habit of, cutting my recording every, say, 30 minutes, maybe an hour at maximum, because generally speaking, I don't like to have to kind of sift through big chunks of gameplay. If I do something really cool and I think, all right, that's going in a video, the last thing I want to do is be scrubbing through 2, 3, 4 hour long videos to try and find that one 10-second clip. So I try to cut things semi-regularly, just makes it easier. Also, if I need to copy files. You can also do flashback recording. So if I'm doing something and I have my software running but I'm not recording and I do something cool, I can then drag the timeline back and just grab that. And otherwise, I also tend to do more targeted gameplay. Of course, I do a lot of tutorials, guides. So if I know exactly what I want to record, let's say I know I'm jumping into Destiny and I want to show you where like the new Ascendant challenge is, then I'll load into the map, I'll start my recording, I'll go and do what I need to do, and then I'll stop it. That way I have a very targeted clip, and it makes it easier in the edit process because it means that I know that within that video, I have everything I need, again, instead of having to sift through a massive chunk of gameplay to try and find the start and the end point. So these are kind of things that you'll of course do over time. These are things you'll be getting used to and whatnot, but they are kind of things that you want to sort of try and keep in mind, because anything you can do to speed up your process or make your process easier and more kind of fluid, just in general makes the whole video creation process that much more enjoyable. Now, moving on from there to point number 2, editing your videos. Now, for this one, you can use a variety of different programs. I personally use Adobe Premiere Pro. It is admittedly not necessarily the cheapest program. You typically buy it on a subscription, but there are other options. You can always go to Sony Vegas, you can use Windows Movie Maker, you can use Camtasia. Generally speaking, if the software allows you to do what you need to do, then it's completely fine. I've been using Premiere for a long time. I used to work in the games industry when I did videos there. It was kind of the industry standard, so I just sort of got into the habit of using it, and I've been using it for many years. And for those of you guys that do want to get it, if any of you guys are students, then you can actually get it cheaper. But if you're not, then Premiere on its own you can get for about £20 a month on a subscription, and if you want to get all the Adobe products, it's about £50 a month. That does sound quite steep, but for someone like me who uses the software every single day, and it gives me access to Adobe After Effects, Premiere, Photoshop, Illustrator, Media Encoder, Lightroom, anything like that, the fact that you can like use all that stuff, if you use it often enough, it kind of gets to the point where you're definitely getting the value out of it. But either way, that's what I use. This is the software that I dive into anytime I've recorded my gameplay. I drag that from my folder, put it into my editing software, and then I begin constructing the video. Now, with regards to editing the video and the actual process I go through, I've had people say before, you know, how do you edit the video? Do you record your gameplay first? Do you record your audio first? Do you record them at the same time? Do you script stuff? So to kind of go over a few things like that. First things first, because I do a lot of either news content or guides or things where I'm talking specifically about things that you want to know, then a lot of my stuff is quite specific. So I will invariably work out what I want to say, and I will then record my audio track. I will throw that into Premiere, I'll cut that up, take out any mistakes, because mistakes are always made. I never do this in one cut. This, what you're seeing right here, it definitely wasn't one cut. I've done this in many takes, but the point is, you cut up with the audio, and I get to the point that I then have a string of audio that essentially is how long my video will be. I will then go through and put in the relevant gameplay that aligns to it. So again, if I'm doing a guide, like if I was doing the charge blade guide on how to use a weapon, then of course I would record the whole audio, and then when I'm saying like, here's how you do a combo, I would then slot that gameplay in. So I edit very specifically to my audio, generally speaking. If I'm doing something slightly less specific, like just a news video saying, hey, this new event's coming out and it's dropping tomorrow, then the gameplay in the background isn't quite so important, so I can kind of just throw in what I'll call ambient gameplay. And if I am doing something live, I don't do this a lot, but if I am doing some kind of let's play, then of course you would do it in verse. You would set your recording, you would sync up your audio, you would then play through, and then when you go to edit, you would then line them up so that everything kind of goes in one chunk. Now, scripting is something that you guys can consider doing. It's something that I did a lot towards the beginning of YouTube, and I still do it now, depending on the kind of content that I'm making. Now, if I'm making a very particular guide, again, if I use Monster Hunter as an example, something like the weapon guides, those ones were fully scripted because there was so much information in there and so many things that I wanted to make sure I got right, that if I didn't script it, I would end up kind of going off track, I would forget things, and just in general, it helped me keep pace. But sometimes when it comes to things like this, I have like a rough idea of what I want to say, but the actual stuff that I'm speaking is just off the top of my head. So I will say that if you're starting out and you're finding that you're kind of struggling with, you know, the speed you speak at or kind of repeating things over and over again, then scripting can definitely help you. I used to speak really fast to begin with. Back when I first started YouTube, I didn't really have kind of the confidence, and every other word was like and things like that. So scripting can sometimes help you with that. But it also just means if you want to kind of say something for a particular, or you're doing a review, or you're doing something slightly more professional, then it can also help keep up that angle. And the nice thing is, of course, if you write your own script, you're still writing in your own words. So if I write my own, it's not like I'm just kind of regurgitating something like a robot. I'm still saying what I want to say. I'm just writing it down so that I don't have to. But generally speaking, I will juggle between both styles. I try where possible to speak off the cuff because I feel like it feels more personal. It's more like you guys are speaking to me. But again, you can pick and choose depending on what makes sense. Another couple of things worth talking about in editing, of course, the actual process of editing. It's pretty simple. A lot of the time, video editing is just cutting clips, putting them, you know, aligned with your audio and making sure that the whole thing flows nicely. I will say that if you guys do want to add like a little bit more flair to your videos, if you want to look for intros or kind of graphical elements that will help improve things, then do definitely check out a website called Video Hive. It's a site where you can go and you can purchase templates and you can then use those for things like channel intros, for lower thirds, for social media callouts, just like nice little graphical things. If you ever see fun little sort of graphical elements pop up in my videos, things like this, or even kind of lower thirds, any of these things are the sorts of things you can get on Video Hive. So again, if you guys are starting out and you want to sort of improve your quality a little bit, adding in things like that can definitely make the world of difference. Then moving on from there to number 3, and that is creating an eye-catching thumbnail. Once you've worked really hard on your video, you've edited it, you've put it together, and you've uploaded it, you basically have one chance to grab people's attention. If they're scrolling through YouTube, they've gone to search for something, and they're looking for that video, you have a chance with your thumbnail and your title to make people be like, you know what, that video among all the other ones is the one I want to click on. Now, invariably for that, it involves trying to make something so that it's very clear. So you guys might recognize from our thumbnails, invariably the text is quite big, it's very clear, very easy to read, and there's normally one very standout image on the side. This also kind of became our style for quite a while, so it also meant if you were scrolling through YouTube, you could invariably tell that if you see that style of thumbnail, it's associated with us. So that's something to consider. Also using the kind of right colors and using the right images to make sure that things aren't too dark, to make sure things stand out. And also don't forget when you are creating your thumbnails to resize them as well. It's all well and good creating a thumbnail like this, but if you then zoom out and it looks like this, then it's not very clear and people probably aren't going to click on it. So you have to think about things like this when creating things. Your thumbnail text and title doesn't have to have the exact description of your video. Sometimes you just need to pull out keywords that will kind of summarize what you're doing. But essentially, it's your job once you've made a video to wrap it with the thumbnail, because if you don't take your time on this, then that video you worked really, really hard on might never get seen by anybody. Then moving on from there to number 4, going behind the scenes. Now, this part, of course, is incredibly important, but to a lot of people, it might also be the boring part. Once you've got through the fun video editing, you've made the thumbnail, you then got to upload it and sort out the title and the tags and the description, which probably doesn't sound that exciting, but this is also incredibly important. If you don't have a good title, you don't have a good description, and you don't have decent tags, then nobody will ever see your video. So, title in itself is important, not only because it tells people what the video is about, but also when somebody goes into the search bar and they search for something, that is one of the things that will have your video show up. So if I made a video on Monster Hunter World Charge Blade tutorial and you search for that, that's in my title, there's a very good chance that is going to show up when you search that. Additionally, the same thing goes for your YouTube video description. The first 2 lines are the ones that appear above the fold. Basically, if you don't press the expand, the first 2 lines is what's shown. Having a few keywords in this is also incredibly important. That doesn't mean to say you copy the title down, but it does mean that you can use words that kind of encapsulate what you're saying. So, you know, it might say something like, this video is about the Charge Blade. This video is a tutorial on how to use the Charge Blade, for an example. And the same thing goes for your tags. Your tags also need to essentially encapsulate what people are searching. So there's no point just making your tags say something broad like video games, PS4, Monster Hunter, and like your channel name. Sure, some of those are useful, but they're not the be-all and end-all tags. You need to think of the tags as a means to encapsulate what people are searching. So if somebody's searching Monster Hunter World Tutorial, that should be in your tags. If someone's searching Destiny 2 Forsaken Review, that should be in your tags. It's about trying to work out what people are searching for and ensuring that that is in the tags of your video. Of course, it still needs to be relevant. Don't go off and put tags like how to earn £1 million in 2 minutes and put that in like a Destiny 2 video, because that's not right and YouTube will have a problem with that, and in theory they can then take your video down for that. But the point is, within the scope of your video, if it is say a Monster Hunter video, you can then be a little bit more broad with that. It could then be like Monster Hunter Call of Taroth armor, Call of Taroth weapons. That sort of stuff is the stuff you would put into your tags, and of course in doing that, you have a better chance of your video showing up. Now, to be clear, yes, of course, there are other factors as well. Engagement is incredibly important. That's why you hear a lot of YouTubers often say, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, I know as a viewer, sometimes you might be sitting there thinking, oh, why do you always have to say that? But you'd be surprised the amount of people that don't actually think about doing that by default. I myself am often guilty of that as well. As a YouTuber, I might still watch a video, be like, you know what, that video is great, I really enjoyed it, but sometimes you don't think to just go and take that extra second and click the like button. But as a YouTuber and someone that's worked really hard on the content, that extra second, that extra action is incredibly valuable, because engagement is another means for your video to be shown. So that of course explains why people often do say don't forget to like, because it genuinely does help a creator. So while you might not necessarily always want to ask your audience to do it, while you might not necessarily feel right saying, please can you hit that like button, please can you subscribe, honestly, reminding people in the nicest possible way is never a bad thing. There's a difference between saying, if you wouldn't mind, don't forget to hit that like button, as opposed to smash that like button right now. So, you know, you get the idea. The point is, things like that, engagement is also going to help you. But all that stuff is incredibly important. It's all the behind the scenes stuff that if you don't get right, it's again going to mean your video doesn't get seen. And then finally, in at number 5, the very last point is, of course, sharing your video. Once you've hit upload, once you've hit publish and your video is live, your job is not over. It's not just about pushing your video to YouTube and then sitting back and waiting for the views to come in. It's also your job to make sure that other people can see your video, but it's also important to understand the right way to go about this. If you have Twitter and you have followers, tweet your video out. If you have Instagram, post an Instagram story saying, hey, my new video's gone live, don't forget to swipe up and check it out. Or post like an actual Instagram photo and say, my new video's up, it's on Monster Hunter, go and check it out, link in the description. If you've got Snapchat, if you've got Facebook, posting it to your relevant audiences. Keep in mind that if you have a Twitter following, whether it be 10 followers, 100 followers, 1,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers, people have actively chosen to follow you. So with that being said, if you're going to post a video, there's a chance they might watch it. What you don't want to do, however, is do not go on somewhere like Twitter and go and tag 1,000,000 people and say, hey, watch my new video, don't forget to retweet. That stuff doesn't help. And if anything, it's actively going to discourage someone from watching a video. If I'm tagged in a wall of tags and someone's like, hey, can you check out this video? I'm sorry, but it's going to make me not want to watch that. That's kind of not the way to go about doing it. And definitely don't go on Twitter and tag someone like Ninja or Ali A or KSI or Casey Neistat and say, hey, don't forget to check out my video. Just because they're big doesn't mean it's going to help you. If anything, it's going to have the complete opposite effect. And again, that stuff doesn't help. It's about understanding your audience, understanding your platforms, and understanding where you can push your video so that more people can see it. So again, tweeting out your video to your followers, pushing it to Facebook, pushing it to Instagram, pushing it on YouTube, just in general, trying to get exposure where you can. And of course, outside of that, you can network with people, you can speak with people, you can kind of broaden your horizons. And as you start doing things like that, then of course you'll build a bigger audience. That being said, we actually have a share channel in our Discord. If you guys want to join it, we created it specifically for people that are, you know, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, creators. If you have content that you make, you can even go into our Discord in our share channel and you can post your new video. You can post your Twitch channel. That doesn't mean to say that everyone's got that, so don't just suddenly start going to everybody's Discord and doing that. Everyone's got their own rules. But we created that channel for people, for creators, for streamers, for people like that do want to do things like that. So if you guys do want to join, the Discord link is in the description box down below. You can hop over, you can jump in the channel, you can post your latest video, and we can even check it out from there. Just make sure it's in the right channel, because if you start posting it everywhere else, the mods are going to take it down. But anyway, for the time being, that is pretty much it. Now, I appreciate there's a lot of information in there. I appreciate I kind of waffled on for a little bit as well, but YouTube as a whole there's so many things you need to take into account. And this is stuff that that's myself, TwoSixNine and Paradise Central have learned over years of doing this. These are the sorts of things you discover through trial and error. Nobody really knows the answers. And despite what YouTube might say, they don't give you a book that says, here's how to become a YouTuber, here's how to do things. You kind of just have to learn this stuff yourself. We've been doing this for about 6 years now, so it's really just a case of building things gradually. You don't build an audience overnight, you don't build it in a week or a month or even a year. It takes a long time to build a following, and I completely get that as a new creator, it is so tough to get your name out there. It is so tough to get your first 1,000 subscribers, your first 10,000. But honestly, this is one of those things that it just takes time. And if you continue to work to improve on what you're doing, you're constantly looking at what you're doing and working out how you can do it better, and you're happy to take on feedback, happy to take on criticism, then hopefully in time, you'll get your chance too. But anyway, that's it for the time being. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. Again, if you have any questions, by all means, drop them down below. But otherwise, keep it locked for many more videos. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here. But once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.